Hey folks, thank you for joining us again for another exciting episode of Yomo. This is the Year of Material Learning podcast. So we are on 307, Reflection 307, and it's a brand new book. And this book has a two-part reflection. So the first part is what?
Yeah, the book itself is called Conscious Business: How to Build Value Through Values by Fred Kofman. I mean, come on, could that subtitle be a better book? This was like tailor-made for Clubany, honestly. That's why I wrote a two-part reflection. It's actually a pretty short book, but the book description, I mean, it's almost just read it verbatim. Consciousness is the main source of an organization's greatness. Conscious business, explained by Fred Kofman, means finding your passion and expressing your essential values through your work. A conscious business seeks to promote the intelligent pursuit of happiness in all its stakeholders, produces sustainable, exceptional performance through solidarity and community and the dignity of each member. A conscious business fosters personal development, fulfillment, and individuals' mutual respect in the community and success in the organization. It's a lot of the stuff that you and I care about and talk about and what we want to create. And I thought it was a really good book. So that's why it's a two-part reflection. Actually, I've noticed this on a lot of these books that I write multiple reflections on, 300 plus and, book 300 plus or reflection 300 plus it's almost always when it aligns to like this stuff. It's like my brain just hooks into it. And it's like the neural pathways just like latch on. They're like, oh, yep. All right, I'm in. Let's go. Even if I already agree with what he's saying, I still take new little tiny nuggets that I'm seeing, tiny little things that are being said that I'm applying to already robust neural pathways where I'm going even faster with it. And that's why it just sticks in my brain, and I can't get it out. That's why I end up writing multiple reflections. So this part one is, it's not personal, it's business. And I started this one off actually with a fun note. I was writing this reflection, 307, in a hotel room in Atlanta, Georgia, in December of 2022. So, 9 months ago or whatever it was, 10 months ago. And as I was sitting down to write this keyboard, I had this like deja vu flashback because I was writing reflection 75 about the War of Art by Stephen Pressfield in a different Atlanta hotel room in December of 2021. And the reflection that I wrote on that was, gosh, what was the title? Basically, it was like, he who has a why can overcome anyhow kind of thing. I can't remember the exact. Oh, it said beating the resistance is easy when you have a real why. I remember so much vividly sitting down to write that reflection because I was doing it every single day. The night before, this is when I was still at Salesforce. The night before, we were having a QBR for our team. We all went out to this really nice steakhouse and we were out until really late, drinking way too much, eating way too much. We were celebrating just being able to be together because it was the pandemic. It was really hard to get together during that kind of stuff. We were all just having a good time, enjoying our teammates. Probably ate a little too much, drank a little too much. When you wake up in a hotel room and you got to get on a run, you got to listen to a book, get my writing in, get it running, and you're kind of dragging ass a little bit. But that morning, I vividly remember picking this book, The War of Art, as the book that I wanted to write my reflection about, because that was when I was still picking from old books that I already had finished. And I was like, this is fucking easy. I'm not worried about this. I didn't feel great. I felt awful. I was sitting down at this keyboard, didn't feel comfortable. My back was killing me. My head was throbbing. It was 6 a.m. I had a flight at 10 that I had to get. I had a lot of stuff that I had to get done. I was like, I don't care. We're doing this because this is what matters to me. This is what matters for my relationship with my daughter. This is why I do this stuff. I don't have to do this. I do this because I get to connect with my daughter and I get to do all this other stuff, right? So this reflection was written in a similar mode. A whole year later, reflection 75 to fast forward to 307, and we're still going strong every single day and still going strong today, right? And I don't know, there's just something cool about that where it just makes me feel proud that I'm making my daughter proud a little bit, just because this is don't let shit get in the way, right? I guarantee you the rest of my other teammates that morning were all dragging ass, like just stumbling to the airport and going, oh fuck, this sucks, like I gotta go home, no, I was still doing that and also still making sure that I was living my values every single day. So anyway, that was a side note. On to the reflection. Okay, so I think we've all heard the saying before, it's not personal, it's business, right?
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So if you're in the business world, I feel like you hear that all too damn frequently.
When you find somebody, you say, hey man, it's not personal, it's just business,
personal,
right?
just business. Yeah.
Okay. After they say, we are all family. Right? I say,
That's
and they say,
Ohana.
I'm
No.
sorry,
Right.
your last day is like 15 minutes.
Right.
It's not personal. It's just business.
It's just business.
Okay.
Right. So the thing is this book made me think about this, where, we try to pretend in the business world that we have this motto. It's no different than the fail fast mottos of the world or the eat the frog bullshit or whatever. We have like these business jargon mottos that we all have taken as the norm, but it's actually very anti-human in general, right? because business at the end of the day is never about the outcomes. Like we feel like the rational take is, hey, look, this is about focusing on profits, outcomes, and losses, and that's it, right? Like that's it. There's nothing more, nothing less. Like it's not personal. It's just business, right? Like as long as we always just focus on the outcomes and we focus on what we have to do here, like we can separate human emotions and all the other irrational things we do from this very tangible, rational thing that we call business.
But then it comes into the sales circles and they say, well, it's all about emotions. Right. Appeal to the emotions, what gets you the sale, blah, blah, blah.
That's where I'm going with this. That's where I'm going with this. Is it sounds great in theory, but it's not true. Like it's just not true, because business has never and will never be about outcomes. It's always about humans, right? It's about humans, and humans have emotions. Like that is the truth. Like it is. You cannot. Like this isn't Spock universe, or whatever. We're Spock from
Vulcan.
This isn't planet Vulcan, where we only, deal with rationality and outcomes. And, I love Neil deGrasse Tyson. I just finished another book of his recently, and it was about his cosmic take, the cosmic perspective on civilization, meaning like day-to-day, like political topics of like race, gender, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And one of the things that he talked about in that book was, he seriously signed on for like rationality land or something like that, where all decisions and policies are made based off of, rational decisions of like, hey, this is after science shows us that this is the right way to go, that this is just what we do and we don't argue about it. And if it shows that we don't, then we don't do it, and it's like, okay, man, you had me with all this stuff until you started talking about like rationally, because we're fucking humans. Like we are not rational beings. Like we as much as we want to pretend that we are emotional.
Just like what I keep saying, you cannot be who you want to be. You have to be who you are, because you say, I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry. Yeah, sure. You can tell yourself all day long, but your stomach can start growling.
Exactly. We're emotional beings, and business is about humans. So business is really about emotions, right? This guy had this really good quote. Instead of saying it's not personal, it's business, it should be business is personal. Everything is personal. He said this really good quote that I really loved. Instead of business equals no emotions, it should be business equals KNOW emotions and act in accordance, right? And I thought that was beautiful. The idea of conscious business is business with a heart, which has humanity at its core. And how do you do that?
Do you bring in the values?
Right? This book was tailor-made for what we're doing, because that's what you do. If you want to bring in humanity and you want to bring personal stake, you bring in people's personal values and you connect it all together. And that's conscious business. It is fucking personal. Make it really, really personal for people. Like that's what I've been trying to do with Club Any Light, is make it super personal for them. Like, what do you really love about this job? What do you love about what you do every single day? And find that, do that, latch onto that, and don't do anything else. Like, because it is personal. I can ask you to do all this stuff and you can grind yourself down to a pulp, and then I fire you and I'm like, hey man, you just, it's not personal. It's just, I just fucking wasted all of my goddamn time in my life, slaving away for this.
What do you mean it's not personal?
Yeah, personal. Like I just did shit that I didn't want to do for your dumb ass and this fucking dumb business, Anyway, so I'd love to get your thoughts. I'm sure you got a lot of,
So I think that the first thing that got me questioning is your reflection and say it's not personal, it's business. You don't want it.
No, I do. That's why I wrote about it. That's why the question is.
Right, but then the reflection isn't telling you what you want to write about. So you want to go opposite.
I started
Okay,
it with,
okay.
I started it with the.
So I thought you would say it's not business, it's personal.
It is.
Because that's what the reflection is saying versus you trying to debunk the.
Yes, I was debunking my reflection title through my entire reflection.
Well, like I said, it kind of stumbled me a little bit when you first said it. Okay, let's see where this goes. But like I said, I was expecting the opposite. Maybe because you have spent so much time together that I kind of really.
I said the opposite.
Anticipated that you want to say it's not business.
Exactly. I said it's not business. It's personal. It's not business. Like,
okay. Well, I think most of us already are tuned with values, because I don't think you need to seek anything. Mm-hmm. Okay, because naturally we are a person that has the internal compass to weigh and value something. If I give you a $10 for your 20, would you give it to me?
You gave me $10. No.
Exactly, because you know the values, right? And so that's why people have the inherent compass for that.
Right.
And the thing is, with business, right? With business, you are trying to objectify this concept of personality. And it's not personal; it's just business. You're just making something. It's a human construct. To me, the only thing you need to do is you just rip off all this nonsense.
Right.
What you're left with is humanity, and all humanity will work together like we wanted to work. Because you don't actually need to go find the person like, hey, find the person's values or know people's value. And like I bring my potatoes. I grew some potatoes and I bring to the market, and I wanted some carrots, right? People say, well, I need the carrots, so I'll trade you. I know my values. Well, that's how the market works.
Right.
Today's business, like you objectify something, you take the value of carrots and you blur the value of carrot into this fiat currency, which is like nothing more than, hey, let's agree on carrot costs this much. Like, okay, so you basically objectify some value that you have a emotional attachment to, right? And you make it so that it isn't really giving you any emotional trigger. So you basically become jaded by the value of it. And you blur, like smear the value of the things that is important to you. And so when business goes into place, it's like that's how you try to trick people into buying your shit. Because you say, hey, this is more value than, because the thing is, we don't actually think in that way. And so it's hard for us to calculate what does it mean when you give me this amount and then I have to pay you a certain amount. I mean, for most of us, we don't even know if that's equate. But if I give you, if I simplify it to the lowest level, I give you $10 and I ask for 20, you say, hell no, why would I give you that, right? But if you say, hey, I have a carrot and you have potatoes, right? I needed a carrot or I need a potato, whatever. And we exchange that. We know the value of what we have and the value of what we need. That for us, it becomes value-based. It's values-driven. So for us, humanity, we have that internal primitive compass that evaluates everything. And because we take these values and we smear the heck out of it, that we can't even figure out what we're given. And so basically we're being
doing stuff that you don't want to do.
We have no idea what we're doing.
Right. Not just stuff that you don't have any idea what you're doing. Stuff that you don't want to do, that you don't even care about. Like you're like,
exactly.
Oh, well,
because how can I know if I care about something if the value isn't what relates to what I want?
Right. Well, what you want is to connect to a broader society, to feel like you're around a group of people trying to work toward a purpose-driven goal. Like all those things do connect to your values.
That's very of business.
Right.
All you have to do is remove it, and you're back to what we call clubbing-esque society. Because that, I mean, but naturally, inherently, we have that already. There's no need for us to go through and sweep the thing and find the values of people, blah, 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 right? All you have to do is remove the bullshit.
Yes.
This is what I'm saying is, I've learned over the years that, I don't need to do a lot of things to discover myself as long as I remove the things that I say, hey, I don't think I like this one. I start removing it. Then I start finding things I like because my values and what I care for is buried under the tons of bullshit.
Right. I learned something really interesting and new today that I haven't written about. This is in a book that I'm reading right now that I feel like is very on topic for what we're talking about. The book is called Making Winners. It's by Michael Lewis, the guy that writes like Moneyball and Blindside. This is a compilation of his podcast recordings they turned into an audiobook. Mm-hmm. And it's about coaching. The whole thing's about coaching. Can you, like, the value of coaching or not the value of coaching and how that impacts people or doesn't impact people. One of the topics that he talks about, ironically, in this book is Tim Galway of The Inner Game of Tennis, which is one of my favorite books and one of the ones that we've talked about already on this journey. One that I had my whole team read last month, actually, because like I reread it, recently after the Clubbing Journey ended, and I was like, man, this is just such a fucking good book. But he's interviewing Tim Galway in this interview, and the gist of it is he was like, the day that I stopped he was like, there's a difference between teaching and coaching. He was like, teaching is telling people what to do, right? You know, and you're trying to script out what he was like. I had this epiphany one day. He was like, I was so tired. He's a tennis coach. He was like, I was so tired of saying the same thing over and over and over again to the same fucking people all day long. And he was like, I just stopped saying anything. And all of a sudden, magically, you know, people started doing the right stuff on their own. And he was like, what the hell is going on? You know, this is when he got the inspiration to write this book. So he started to keep investigating this. And he found that the less that I do, the better that I coach you. Meaning, like, get the fuck out of the way of people, because they will figure out how to solve their own problems. Like, all we end up doing when we teach people all day long is we keep putting more and more rules and more structure around everything and more whatever, which now kind of makes me, as we're having this conversation, reminds me of like tennis and a lot of the other stuff that we do in this world, you know, where we keep trying to like put more and more structure around it and go, no, you got to do this and this and this, and then you got to do this over here. If you just fucking got out of people's fucking way and let them be who they wanted to be, do what they wanted to do, I think they would probably figure it out and figure out what they like to do and not like to do. And people would just magically get it all done. It's just get out of fucking people's way. It's so personal, but stop trying to figure out how to put structure to make other people do what you want them to do.
I say somebody else's key doesn't work on your house. It doesn't work on your door. So you're talking about the guy who said, "Hey, this is how you try." Remember that guy? The guy.
Pay attention to him.
Yeah, the guy is trying to say, "Hey, this is how I do it to memorize the music or whatever." Right?
Yep.
But the thing is, like, I'm telling you, I'm teaching you how I do my shit. It doesn't apply to you. You have to do your own thing, right? And so the thing is, in order for us to effectively help somebody, isn't to tell them how you should do what I did. It is how you should do what you want to do. And I only giving you what you're doing for you to take and reflect, as if I'm your mirror. Say, hey, you hit it at this angle. Okay. Well, you tell me, what would you need to adjust to make it go down a little further? Right? And you hit it again, and I tell you, yeah, it falls this way. So all I'm telling you is giving you the feedback. I'm just giving you feedback of what I see in you. I'm not telling you that, hey, you should do what I did. Right? To me, that's teaching. That is coaching in a way, right? To me, that the right masters in the kung fu world, they don't actually tell you how to do something. It just asks you questions.
It's like Karate Kid, wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. He's like, go fucking clean my car, and then eventually he'll figure it out as he's, you know, when he needs to figure it out, or paint the fence. You're just master, like with Luca. In a weird way, I'm kind of doing this right now, where I'm not teaching him how to hit a pickleball, and I'm not doing anything. I'm like, all I'll do is just roll the ball, and he goes like, and then next time when he's holding the paddle wrong, he's like, oh, I'm holding the paddle. He changes his hand, and then he goes like this, you know. And sometimes he's been innovating on his own, because, you know, when it goes to his right side, he can hit his forehand really easily now. But like when it comes to his left side, he's like, what do I do? So he turns around, and then he takes his hand and he turns it around, and he slaps it one-handed backhand that way. And I'm like, you just figured out how to hit a one-handed backhand. You know, like, I mean, I'm not teaching you this. You're just figuring this out as you go, and the swing actually looks like the right swing. And he keeps hitting it harder and harder with the right swing. Tim Galway, going back to this coaching book versus teaching, he said he just started taking this to a whole nother level when he realized this epiphany of like, I don't have to tell anybody anything. All I have to do is just help you to become aware of what you want to do, and then you'll do it, right? So he said he was given some lecture about something, or he was in some environment where this tuba player was in a symphony, and he was asked to help coach this tuba player on the spot. And he was like, okay, you know, play something. The guy plays something, and he goes, what did you feel like you did wrong or whatever? And he goes, well, you know, because as he's describing this, he goes, for me, from what I heard, I was like, it sounded pretty damn good. I was like, I don't know anything about playing a tuba. And he asked the guy to describe it. And he goes, well, it was when I got into the higher registers. He was like, it was, you know, I could tell that I was doing blah, 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 not to the level that I wanted to do. And he goes, okay, what did you feel like happened when you got there? Like, what, you know, was there anything that you felt like changed when you got
like to I say, all you do is asking questions.
The guy goes, yeah, I know what happens. He's like, my tongue actually gets really dry, and I can feel it when my tongue gets dry, and then I know that I can't hit these upper things. And he goes, okay, maybe play it again, and this time like just focus on your tongue. And if it starts to get dry, try to not let that happen or whatever. And he was like, yeah, all right, that's fine. So the guy plays again. And after he's done playing, Tim Galway is describing this. He goes, I heard pretty much the same thing. He was like, I don't know anything about tuba playing. He's like, I didn't hear anything really different. But he goes, as soon as the guy stopped playing, the whole orchestra like stood up and they were like, oh my God, that was so good. And he goes, I didn't do anything. I said, what do you think it is you need to do to play better? And he was like, this is it. Like, this is no different than when I played tennis. Like, I could tell you all day, every day, you're like, hey, Chris, when your serve, like I complain about my serve all the time. What are you doing wrong? Well, I know I'm letting the ball come down a little lower because I'm always trying to spin it. So like I'm worried more about spinning it versus trying to reach up and hit it at the top. Mm-hmm. So I'm hitting it at a launch angle that's here. And I know that I need to be here. But like my mind keeps telling me like, spin it, just spin it, you know? And I know that's not where spin comes from. It doesn't just come from you going like this, you know, like it comes from the whole series of hitting the ball at the right time at a full extension, you know? And so if I was Tim Galway, I would be like, okay.
Because all I have to do is say, how do you spin a tennis ball, Chris?
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
And then you say, you need to hit it first, or maybe whatever. I'm just asking you how you did it and how you think it should work. That's all you have to do to coach somebody.
That's it. I mean, like, true.
Because like the only thing I need to ask you is, well, how would you do a spin, Chris?
Pretty simple. If this is your ball and you want it to hit top spin, you hit it here because it'll make the ball go this way. Spin, you hit it here, right? Because it'll make the ball go this way.
So if you turn your wrist before it touches the ball, would that make it spin, Chris?
Well, no, not necessarily. Well, it's where you make contact.
It's the questions of figuring out what are you doing, and all it does is get your mind thinking, because you're the expert. I'm not. I'm just asking the question how you did it.
No joke. Today I had like 6 hours straight of meetings, and I had like this 1 hour gap. You know how the past 2 months I've been doing like 30 minutes of tennis or pickleball or whatever. Mm-hmm. I haven't been able to do it very much this month just because I did it so hard for the past couple of months, and I was like, I'd probably take a little bit of break. So I've been doing it sporadically whenever I had full time. Well, today I was like, man, I really just want to get out of here, and just, it's such a nice day out. I was like, I'm going to go. I had an hour between meetings. As soon as I got done with my meeting, ran downstairs, changed my clothes really fast, sprinted out the door. The courts were 2 minutes away, got down to the courts in like 5 minutes, and I was, hitting a bunch of balls. Well, as I was hitting balls, I was like, I want to work on trying to float backspin shots out on the corner. If I'm having to go on a dead sprint to try to get it, how can I stop my momentum? Reach for the ball, but stay toward the court and still float the ball back, with a little bit of backspin, but in a defensive shot where somebody can't just take it out of the air and hit a volley, right? And all the stuff I'm describing to you, you probably were like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Well, it doesn't even matter. It's irrelevant. So I was like, how can I do this? I was like, I know how to hit a backhand slice shot. I was like, I know how to run. I know how to stop myself, and I know how to, hit a lob. So I started just focusing solely on where I was making contact with the ball, and then I would stop and I would look up and I would just see where it landed, right? And I was like, oh, okay, all right, well, that happened. And then I would do it again and I would see where it landed, and I hit the exact same shot and I would see where it landed. And eventually I started to hit these like perfect, like defensive, like, lob backspin shots that were, I was like, fuck, these are fucking really good. But if you just told me, like, as a coach, like if you were trying to teach me to go do that, you're like, Chris, you want to make sure that you get to this spot, stop, extend, try to do this. All I was doing was I was like, look, I'm just going to try to hit this ball and see what happens, like with at this angle, and see where the ball goes. Lo and behold, like by the end of that little hitting session, I was hitting incredible shots, and now I can maybe deploy in a match if I ever wanted to feel like I was in that position, right? I need to know how it feels.
So feel.
Right. Like, it's not business. It's personal. It is personal. It's how do you?
Everything's personal.
It's how do you feel? Like, you said this to me earlier tonight. Right before when we hopped on this thing, what were we talking about?
What's your gut feeling?
What's your gut feeling about this pickleball facility that I'm thinking about building? My gut feeling.
How do you feel?
My gut feeling was it's not the right spot, even though I want it to be in my rational mind. I'm going, I want it to be really bad. It all makes sense. Like, I have a really good rate. It's in my neighborhood. It's down the street. Coordinate activities from my house and also be there. It's close to Luca's daycare. It's close to all this other stuff. Like, like rationally, I'm trying to convince myself, like, rationally, right? But like emotionally,
you have to be who you're supposed to be, not who you want to be.
Exactly.
Try to stop breathing.
Well, that's a good point. We're idiots. We built business off of our rider, not our elephant. Like we did, like 100%. Like
But then
business, exactly. It is all personal, man. Like everything that we do that involves.
We're saying you cannot separate the work Chris from the personal Chris, right? The home Chris and the work Chris. They're the same fucking guy. If he has a bad day at work.
I mean, not only that, it depends on what I'm doing, right? Like the poor Will tonight really only knows me when he's playing pickleball for the most part, right? Because like that's how I met him. This is how he knows me. I'm an intense fucking person when I'm in a competition. You see me every night. Would you call me intense?
Tonight?
A little bit tonight, but in general, I would call myself in a general disposition as happy-go-lucky in general, right? Like I'm usually smiling, happy. You know, I might get excited, but like I mean, you know, I don't know that I'm intense.
Right. Well, you never intense because for me it's like I don't. I mean, I've got to the point where intensity is like, what does that have to do with me?
Exactly.
You want to get angry? Okay, get angry. You want to call me ugly? Okay, I'm ugly. What do you want? What do you want me to say?
Right? Yeah. Well,
that shit true. You're a dumbass. There's no argument there.
In certain areas of your life, you probably are a dumbass. In certain areas of your life, you're definitely not. You know, like
most of my life, I'm a dumbass.
Exactly. But I wouldn't. The first thing I wouldn't say about you would be True's a dumbass. I would say True's actually really, really smart in areas that True wants to be really, really smart in. I'm sure you're a total dipshit, and just like all of us. Like, I mean, there's no way you can be a genius at everything that you do, but the stuff that you really care about, I know you're not a dumbass when it comes to coding. You know,
like you have to understand, you cannot be both tall and short at the same time because it's just opposites. Let's say you want to be a jockey and you want to be like Shaq size. You cannot win a fucking pony race if you're a fucking Shaq and riding on a fucking donkey.
You can't be a basketball player.
Exactly. You can't be a basketball player if you're a fucking jockey. So you cannot be both. So you cannot have of all of the values and all of the characters and traits you have in the world. You cannot have everything. So you're gonna have to be a fucking dumbass in most cases.
Who you are, right?
And be a genius in the case it matters to you.
Right.
You think logically about that, right? You think about it. How can you be so good at everything? How can you do that? Because when you're good at everything, you're good at nothing. There's no depth into whatever that you do.
You're a D+ student and everything. Great. Like, you know, I mean, it's cool. I'm not saying that you have to be an A student, but like you should get an A in at least one subject, you know.
You always, I guarantee you will be an A student in anything that you like to do.
Yeah.
I like to make soap. I'll be good at it. I would like to make candles. I'll be good at it. I like to go fishing. I'll be good at it. I like to, you know, go play poker. I'll be good at it. If I like something, like for me, like I like football, right? You can put me in a game. I can tell you like a certain like play, whatever. I can pretty much tell you the strategies of what people are doing there because I'm so addicted to it, right? I was so addicted that I know exactly how much somebody has, how many tackles they make, how much they make money per year.
You know how many tackles somebody had on a season?
Tackles, how many passes, how many.
Jesus.
What school they come from, everything. When you talk about all the fucking little details, all the players, not just the starters, like all of the players, like even the back of the backup. It's like, how the fuck do you do that? It's like, well, you know, the thing is, to most people that cannot happen. But if you like something so much that you want to have the information as much as you can get, you're gonna spend as much, because then a lot of times, like for take you for example, right? You play tennis so much that your wife is on the edge of killing you.
That's not
because you say you spend too much time.
That was just the month that I was doing the daily tennis thing. It wasn't even that month. It was the month that I did pickleball, because then I kept tennis and pickleball. That was when it got out of control.
But like I say, you have to control it. Otherwise, somebody is going to get mad at you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because the thing is, if you didn't have a wife or a kid, you would probably play more, wouldn't you?
Oh, for sure.
Exactly. That's my point, because you want to get as much as you can without giving up the thing that you care about. You care about your wife, so you because this is have enough weight for me to lower my intensity of playing, right? So like I said, when I was younger, I have no wife, no kid. I know all that. I mean, I know the playbook. I know the players. I know where they come from. I know who drafted them. I knew the salary. I know their height. I know their speed. I know their agility. I know
Right.
a
And
bunch
you
of
learned
all
that
this.
because you wanted to. You learned it. Nobody told you to do this.
Exactly.
You did it because you wanted to do that.
And that's the thing.
Of course.
I guarantee you, when you love something, you will be an A student no matter what. Then you're going to be an F student and everything else. And to me,
And
this is the way.
love
This
is
is the
love is a fucking emotion. It is not.
like I
It is
said,
not a
try to
rational
stop
thing.
breathing.
You know.
Try to stop
Right.
breathing.
It's
Right?
you can't. Like it's
You
it's
can't.
something you just are compelled
You
to
are
do.
drawn. You are
right.
drawn to it.
Right.
And you have to understand that people have multiple of these core values, and these something has to scale back a little bit. For me, it's like I still get hooked into watching Sunday football. If I get a glimpse of it, I can't stop. You know, it's one of those things where you're gonna have to keep it out of sight, out of mind for me to, because right now it's like I have 4 kids, right? I'm the breadwinner of the family, and I have to do everything else. So I have little time. I gotta go to church. I gotta do my fatherly duties, take them to Sunday school, and pick them up, and take them out to have Sunday brunch, dinner, whatever. I don't have time for these things, right? I can sacrifice my family for the football, or the football for the family. But even once in a while, if I saw something, right, I got hooked to it, and I would spend Sunday doing just nothing but watching football.
I mean, I believe it.
I mean, it doesn't
right.
go away, right?
Yeah, it's like I mean, if you're okay, I smoked for many years when I was younger, back in college, and a few years out of college. I liked it a lot. I still like the idea of smoking. I know that it's bad, and I don't smoke, and I haven't smoked in many years. But every single time that I smell somebody smoking cigarettes, like around me, most people would be like, "Oh, I'm revolted by it." I'm kind of like, "It smells really good."
Well, I don't think smoking is bad in the concept of smoking. I think it's a substance. It's in the secrets of what they put you in there to get you to buy cigarettes. But the act of smoking itself, it's addictive in a way. You can go and smoke. Yeah, so it's a nicotine that allows you to be more addicted and get withdrawal from it. But the natural act of smoking, it to me, like, for some reason we've done it before in our past generations, and it seems familiar in a way.
No,
and so that's why I say if you find something that is harmless to smoke, I think it's still good. It to me, it's relaxing.
For me, it's like gambling for me now. I can't go into a casino. I can't play poker with my friends. I can't.
Right, because out of mind, just like me. Because if I go to turn on the TV and the football is happening there, I will stick there and then watch until somebody actually pull me away from it. And for you, get yourself close to a casino, they'll get into the poker table.
The last time that I played any gambling, the last time I gambled at all, like even okay, I guess technically I do March Madness, or something like that.
Well, that's not the same kind of gambling thing, right?
It's long term, but I guess I've always done March Madness, right? Or so I'm just making sure that I'm crystal clear. Like I've done fantasy football where I pay $20.
Well, playing lotteries is gambling.
I don't play the lottery. I'm
just saying.
Just want to put a caveat.
The gambling in itself is still of a general broad category that you can't really say, hey, it's gambling. It is the act of playing poker, the act of competing against. So
and blackjack
is more defined than just like I say, the act of competing against something. Because like your competitive nature, it comes out, right? Because this is a game. This is a game, right? Yeah. And I need to win. I need to figure out how to beat the game, and so that comes out, and it takes over, right? And that's why I'm saying is try to stop breathing, because it's naturally who you're supposed to do, and it's gonna drive you. Because like I say, stop breathing or stop eating. You can't say, hey, I'm this robot. I don't need air. Blah blah blah. Whenever you are at a poker table, your competitive nature comes out. And so that's why I get hooked. But this is why about gambling is so broad. Or you can say, well, gambling means, hey, I can go and pick job A versus job B. That's gambling too.
That's true. It's games of chance at a casino for sure. Like, blackjack, roulette, whatever, in poker for sure. But this whole conversation that we're on now started when I said, Will, tonight I was talking to Will, and we were, kind of lightheartedly shooting the shit about some of the stuff. I was like, look, I'm not like an intense dude. And he was like, you're not an intense guy. He was like, what? I was like, yeah, I guess you don't really know me enough yet because you only know me from really pickleball. But I was like, yeah, no, that's not who I am all the time. I'm not somebody that looks like I'm going to try to rip somebody's face off,
But you are intense
when I'm in a
that's
game.
what Will sees you
Yes.
3% of the time.
Right.
His assessment is what he knows.
Exactly. No.
And then when you say, "Hey, I'm not intense," like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's exactly true. That's exactly how I was when I would gamble too. Like to your point of like, this is when like I would get so locked in and focused, and so the competition would just pour out of me, like, you know, and like my friends could even take me away from they could literally try to drag me away from a
The only
poker
thing they can
table,
do is
and I
knock you
punch them.
unconscious,
Like,
and
yeah,
they can knock you unconscious and drag you out of there.
I mean, I am intense and things that I love. Like if you try to interrupt me when I'm writing in the morning or something like that, like my wife has seen this.
Well, try to stop me from breathing.
That's
Right?
not going to work.
Not gonna be easy.
Right. Like, that's the truth.
I'm not gonna go quietly into the night.
No, that's a great example. But we're a little off topic, but sort of on topic. I guess at the end of the day, no, the whole point of this whole conscious business conversation is
personal.
It's personal. It's always personal. Figure out what matters to the person, and then figure out how they can help the broader organization, the culture, the organization, whatever you're trying to do. But like, I haven't told you about this yet, and we can pick this up another day, but I'm actually on the verge of pitching my boss to get rid of individual outcomes. I'm going to try to do the pilot group of my team where I have them rate every job, every skill that is a part of this job that they do, and say, I would rate myself as an A here, a C here, an F here, a B here, an A here, an A+ here, or whatever, you know, like something that they're like, whatever. I'm going to label out 10 different characteristics or 20 different characteristics or however many I can think of activities that this job takes. Right. And I'm going to say, you tell me what you think that you are, how you are good at these or not good at these. And I'm going to do this in a broader team of like a subgroup of maybe like an industry vertical or something like that, like retail consumer goods. And I'm going to say, okay, great. Like, this is what I'm going to pitch my boss. And I've been thinking about this a while because I've been talking to my team because I've been having them already start to rate themselves in these categories. I was going to say, like, I'm going to start to team people up and go, oh, you're really good at writing emails and copy, and you're really good at making phone calls and having conversations. You're really good at LinkedIn outreach. Whatever they rate A's in themselves, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, well, this person's an A here, A here, A here, and you are an A here, A here, A here. You guys just do that, and whatever you do collectively, I'm just going to split, you know, and see what happens. Like,
you are creating the ultimate team. I mean, I'm wholly agree with that concept because no one knows better than yourself about what you love
what you like to do, right?
Right?
So remember how the whole reflection of focus on your backhand, or, you know, the from the Everyone Culture book, the backhands, you know what I'm talking about? Right. When you're on an island as a singles tennis player on a tennis court, yes, you have to focus on your backhand because they will exploit that, and you will not be able to even get back to the stuff you like to do. In the real world, and that is a kind environment. And you are on an island in a kind environment where somebody can literally pick on that, and you need to fix that, right? Because if you want to continue on, you have to fix that. In the wicked environment, who the fuck says you have to address your backhand? Who the fuck says this? I don't care. If I don't like doing it, I'm not going to do it. There's nobody that says, hey, Chris, to be a really good sales professional, you got to do all of these things really, really, really well. No, I could be a really good sales professional and do 3 things really, really well and say, fuck everything else. If these are required activities of the job, then find somebody else that does those required activities really, really good, and just pair us up together. Because like, I'll do the stuff that I'm really, really good at, you know, and we'll all probably win better, you know. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, we talked about this a million times about the mammoths, right? Like, great, one of my top performers can kill a deer on his own. Like, that's fantastic. But if I took 2 of my other performers that can only kill rabbits by themselves, and then I paired them up with the guy that can kill deers, like, maybe they could all take down a fucking mammoth, you know what I mean? Like, and that's the whole point, right? Like, I mean, they don't need to be, yeah. I mean, it doesn't need to be this way. Like, why do I only have to have?
Reminds me of 300.
Of what?
300.
What's 300?
The book,
the movie?
No, the movie 300. You're talking about the shield, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. You're talking about the shield, right? One person can't shield everybody, but you shield the other person shields you, right?
Right.
And that creates this impenetrable dome that nothing gets through it. 300. Right. You think about 300 against like 300,000 or something like that. It's like, it's ridiculous. Right. But they held that pass. And so you think about, hey, somebody's killing rabbits, somebody's killing deers. Well, you are going to play on their strengths, and the strength's gonna protect the weakness of the other person's weak side. That's the way it works. You are creating the ultimate team. I love that idea. I think that's what company is about. I like to build things. I don't like to go and talk to people. You do. I'm not gonna go and learn how to talk to people, how to convince people and making deals and say, hey, what do you want me to build? I'll build it. Let me build that, right? I love doing that. So I'm not going to figure out how to do things that I hate to do. You bring people in and match their strengths with other person's strength. That just like you have the backhand.
Do what you gotta do.
You don't need to work on your backhand. You just need to find somebody who is
good, has a great backhand, right? Like find somebody that has a great backhand that maybe has a shitty forehand. Like
exactly.
Ryan, the guy that I love playing doubles with, has an amazing backhand, and I have a really good forehand. So when we pair up together, it's really hard to beat us because they're like, Jesus, I don't know where to hit the fucking ball against you guys, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have to ever hit my backhand because I'm like, Ryan's gonna be there. He'll hit it. I don't need to worry about it. You hit it to this side of the court and you hit it, you're fucked. You hit it to that side of the court, you're fucked. Like, don't do it. Like, where are you gonna hit it? Like, that's the truth, And people get really frustrated when that happens.
It's dynamic. It changes.
And why would you ever want to focus on anything that doesn't, like, you don't have, like, that's the thing in a wicked environment. Like, just because you're gonna have a million weaknesses.
You gotta be good at everything.
Because there's a million other paths you could go.
This is our species have got to where we were because of our ability to rely on the other to cover for the weaknesses that we cannot ever cover. Because I can only cover 1 point among thousands of points. So I need 1,000 people to cover all the 900 other weaknesses. That's how we can kill a woolly mammoth, because there's no way I can kill a woolly mammoth. There's no way you can kill a mammoth. There's no way you and me can kill a woolly mammoth. You have to get 10 guys, right, with different set of strengths, different set
maybe
of
100. I mean,
maybe 100,
maybe 1,000. Either way, it doesn't matter. Like, if they all have,
it doesn't matter. We'll be able to conquer the woolly mammoth and get the meat and survive and pass on the genes to the next generation. This is how we become who we are today, Homo sapien.
1,000% agree. Like, so bottom line, it is personal. It's always personal. So the more that we can treat
there's
it that way,
else.
There's nothing else. Like, there's nothing else. There is no planet Vulcan. Like, I mean, your writer is an idiot. Sometimes they have some insightful things to say, like maybe they can help coach.
Well, the thing is, you have to understand the writer is the 10%, but that writer has the advantage of having the view, because you think about, he's sitting on top of the elephant. He has a view, right? He can give the elephant.
He can coach
feedback. This is coaching.
Yes, yeah.
Giving feedback is coaching. It's not
telling
them,
yes,
hey, take up your foot and move this way. Take up your foot and move the other way, and spin your trunk this way, turn your foot that way, right? The writer can say, hey, I see there's a tree over here. There's a rock over here. You think, what we should do?
Where do I need to go? There's two trees here. Where should we go? Well, that way.
Yeah, I'm going to make a better decision than the writer 1,000 times over, right? The writer has the very unique advantage, which is ability to see the elephant. Because like, you can't see yourself. It's hard to see yourself. The elephant is like, hey, I'm on top of you. I am disconnected from you in a way. So I'm telling you what you did. And you have to take that input in and make a judgment yourself. Just like, hey, you're talking about the guy who's playing the tuba or whatever. Say, well, what do you think? How will you fix it? I'm just telling you what I see.
I told you this a couple months ago when I was railing on Will, actually, when we were playing that tune-up before our tournament we played like a month ago with Dustin and I. And he was teaching us all, like, what on the court as we were playing that little tune-up match beforehand of, you should do this and you should do that. You should do this and you should do that. And I got really, really frustrated. I was like, I know I already knew what you said I should do better. You telling me how to, or what shot I should hit or how I should hit that shot is never going to help me, right? What's going to help me is to go, how do you want to hit the shot? What shot do you want to hit off of that? And then I would go, I would like to hit a drive in the middle that I can control. Okay, great. Is it your paddle? Is it wrong? Is it your position of your hand? Are you not hitting enough topspin? Are you not getting low enough? Are you not, like, go practice that? Like, like, these are the things that I'm thinking in my own head, not I should do this because somebody had told me to do that. I agree with you. You should have just said, hey, Chris, what do you think you could do better? Because it probably would have been the exact same thing he was thinking, right? Like, I need to come up to my own decisions. No one will ever tell me what to fucking do. Like, it'll just never happen. I mean, I don't mean this that like we're special or something like that. Like, oh, like you just can't tell Chris what to do. Like, no, nobody. I am adamant about this at this point in time. There's not a single fucking person in this world that wants to be told what to do. Ever. I don't think that exists. Like, do you agree?
I agree. Because I hate it when people tell me what to do. It gets me so riled up, and I get so pissed. It's like, it's like, hey, go play, but I don't want to play when you tell me to go play. I don't know why. It's just, and like I said, it's not like I want to. It's not like constantly I want to be defiant. It is who I am. It's like I keep telling you this primitive thing. Hey, try to stop breathing. It's not like I try to become this non-breathing person. I can do it. I cannot be who I'm not supposed to be.
Man, you see this with your kids all the time. I see it with Luca all the time. It's like you could literally ask him, "Hey, do you want to do what you always want to do?" And he'll go, "No." And you're like, "What?" Like I just said, "Do you want to like go watch Sesame Street like you always asked to do?" No. And then 5 minutes later, it's like, watch Elmo. And you're like, what? I mean, like it's we just don't like to be told what to do. All right, that was my final thought. Any final thoughts for you?
It's all personal.
Agreed. Agreed. I don't think you can say it any better than that. All right. So the question we can leave for everybody is the work you are doing personal or is it just business? And if it is just business, then you're doing it wrong. Like, is the point.
Okay. Well, we leave you with that then.
Good. See you then.
Good night, guys.